Goblin launch detected.
This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. If you're looking for cards in the US, look no further as you can use the promo code MTGMudsta to get you 5% off anything on the site. You can also use the promo code MTGMudsta for 5% off your orders from Face-to-Face Games, Canada's largest Magic the Gathering store, with qualified orders getting free shipping Canada-wide. And if you just want to help out the channel, you can always consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month and join the generic Goblin Gang. Hey gang, and welcome back. We've got a pretty spicy one today with a bunch of new commanders. First up, Felix is playing his Miirym Sentinel Worm deck, Max is playing Osgir the Reconstructor, and Marie has made Lulu, pairing up that cute elephant with Cultist of the Absolute. Meanwhile, I'm playing Ramos. Marie wins the die roll and starts us off. She draws, plays a swamp, and casts a Death Greeter. Felix plays a tap Myriad Landscape. Max plays a mountain and casts Wayfarer's Bauble. I just play a Ketria Triome. Marie has a Plains and casts a Skull Clamp, passing to Felix. Felix plays a mountain for turn and casts his own Wayfarer's Bauble and passes to Max. Maxim draws and plays a mountain. He pays 2 to crack the bauble, going to find a Plains and passing. I draw and play a tapped World Tree. Marie has a swamp for turn and casts Lae'zel, Valakith's champion. Going to combat, she swings the Death Greeter, dealing 1 to Felix, and passes. Felix plays an island and cracks his Myriad Landscape, going to find 2 forests and passing. Maxim plays a Shinka and is able to cast Osgir. He passes after that. I have an Exotic Orchard for turn and pay a red, blue, and a green for Animar. Marie draws and plays a swamp. She casts a Pitiless Plunderer and goes to combat, hitting Felix for 3 with Vlaakith. After that, she passes turn. Felix plays a Cinder Glade and cracks his Wayfarer's Bauble, going to find an island. Maxim draws and plays a Buried Ruin. He casts a Boros Signet and goes to combat, swinging Osgir at Marie, who declares no blocks. Maxim then sacrifices his Boros Signet to give his commander +2/+0, and Marie takes the hit. In Max's post-combat main phase, he exiles the Boros Signet, making 2 copies of it thanks to Osgir, and passes. I draw and play an Indatha Triome. I then cast a Destiny Spinner, and moving to combat, swing Animar at Maxim for 2, and pass turn. Marie draws and plays a Marsh Flats, cracking it and losing 1 to find a Godless Shrine. She then casts Lulu and goes to combat, hitting Max for 5 with her board. After combat, she equips the Skull Clamp to the Death Greeter, drawing 2 and making a treasure. She then ends her turn and gets to untap her team and put 2 +1/+1 counters onto them, thanks to her commander and Vlaakith's triggers. Felix also land cycles an Ash Barrens to find a mountain. Felix draws and plays the mountain he found. He then casts Miirym and passes. Maxim draws and casts an Archaeomancer's Map, going to grab 2 Plains cards. He then plays one of them, and going to combat, swings his commander at me. I take the hit, and in his second main phase, he activates his commander to exile Wayfarer's Bauble, making 2 token copies of it, and passing. I draw and play a Rootbound Crag. I then play a Ramos and just hang back for the turn. Marie plays a Swamp and casts a Cryptghast, and then goes to combat. She swings Lulu at me and the Pitiless Plunderer and Lae'zel at Max. We both take our hits, and after that, she passes. Felix draws and plays a mountain. This lets Max put a Plains into play from his map trigger, although we realize this later. Felix then casts a Kindred Discovery, and follows up with a Chaos Dragon, making a token copy from it entering with Miirym. Felix also gets to draw 2 cards from the Kindred Discovery trigger, and goes to combat. we roll for the first Chaos Dragon with Max hitting the highest roll, and I roll the highest for the second. This doesn't matter much though, as Felix swings a Chaos Dragon at Max and I, using whichever one we didn't win on. After that, Felix passes, with Max cracking both his Wayfarer's baubles during his end step to go and find some basics. Maxim sacrifices the Archaeomancer's map to Osgir, and then casts a Chandra's Ignition on it. Marie responds with Path to Exile and targets Osgir, and Max gets sufficiently blown out by this. With his turn ruined, Max passes turn. I draw and play a Swamp. I then cast Volo, Guide to Monsters, putting 2+1/+1 counters onto Ramos and 1 onto Animar. Going to combat, I swing Ramos at Marie, dealing 6 commander damage and passing. Marie draws and plays a Plains. She then casts and strives a Call to the Coppercoats on Felix and I, making 7 soldier tokens. She then Skull Clamps a soldier to draw 2 and makes a treasure, and then uses the rest of her mana to help cast Elish Norn. This kills off my Volo and pumps her team. And she follows up by casting Cultist of the Absolute. Going to combat, she swings Lizelle and the Plunderer at Felix, the Cryptghast at Max, and Lulu at me. We all take our big hits, and during her end step, she gets to put 2+1/+1 counters onto her tap creatures and untap them thanks to Lulu's trigger and Lizelle doubling the counters on it. Felix draws and plays a Forest. He then plays a Monster Manual and uses it to cheat in a Steel Hellkite. Going to combat, we roll for the Chaos Dragons again and end up with the same result as last time, with Max and I both winning one, but getting hit by the other. After combat, Felix plays an Arcane Signet and passes, with Max cycling Ash Barrens at the end of turn for a Plains. Maxim draws and plays his Plains. He then plays a Combustible Gear Hulk and targets Marie with the end of the battlefield trigger, which she lets him draw. He follows up with a Blasphemous Act, and Felix responds by casting Teferi's Time Twist to save his Miirym. This wipes the board, but Marie also gets 10 treasures out of it. After that, Max recasts Osgir and passes. I play a Sacred Foundry and cast a Season of Growth and pass to Marie. Marie plays a Bright Climb Pathway and then plays a Hero of Bladehold and equips it with a Skull Clamp and passes. Felix plays a Forest for his turn and casts an Astral Dragon, making a copy with Miirym. He gets to make 4 monster manuals into 3/3 dragons and draws 6 cards total off Kindred Discovery. He then activates the original monster manual to put Clouth into play, and gets a copy off of Miirym as well. He then goes to combat. He swings Miirym and both Clouths at Marie, making 30 mana from his Clouth triggers. In his post-combat main phase, he uses the mana to cast an Udvara Hellkite, and makes a copy as well and draws 2. He then plays a Killenmouth Dragon, and as it enters, reveals an Obsidian Charmaw for both of them, giving it 3+1/+1 counters and then drawing 2 more. Felix then plays an Obsidian Charmaw, making a copy, and gets to destroy Marie's Godless Shrine and my World Tree. And once that's done, follows up with a Galzeth Prismari, making a copy and 2 treasure tokens and drawing 2. And then plays Gainax for 2 more treasures and 2 more draws. Felix finishes off with a Dragon Tempest, which is unfortunately a bit late to the party, and casts an Explosive Vegetation, passing to Max. Max draws and puts to stack a Soul Scour. Responding to his own spell, he casts a Boros Charm to make his permanents indestructible. Marie's ready though with the Teferi's Protection to save her permanents, while Felix and I lose most of our boards. With nothing else, Max passes. I draw and top deck a Plains to start my comeback. With nothing else, I pass. Marie draws and plays a Swamp. She then plays Benny Brax and goes to combat, swinging the hero and 2 tokens at me. She layers it so that they get the Battlecry first, and I take the hit. In her post-combat main phase, she replays Lulu and clamps a token to draw 2. Then during her end step, she gets to untap her creatures and put a +1/+1 counter onto them, and passes to Felix. Felix plays a Kessig Wolf Run, and activates the monster's manual to put out an ancient bronze dragon into play. He then activates another one of them to put out a Dragon Speaker Shaman, and passes. Max plane cycles an Angel of Ruins in his main phase to go and find a Plains, which he plays. He activates Osgir to make 2 of the Angel of Ruins, and as they come in, exiles the 4 Monster Manual dragons. Max then follows up with a Soul of New Phyrexia, and passes to me. I draw and play a Stomping Grounds, slowly clawing my way back in. Miirym has a Cathar's Crusade in her main phase, and follows up with a Reflecting Pool, and then recasts Cultist of Absolute. Going to combat, she swings the hero at me, and Lulu and the soldier tokens at Max, with Cathar's Crusade seeing her new tokens coming in, and giving her whole team 2 more +1/+1 counters, plus the Battlecry trigger. Max blocks Lulu and a token with an angel each, and the soul in her other token. This has Miirym losing 2 tokens, and Max loses an angel, and after that, Miirym untaps and pumps her team, passing to Felix. Felix draws and casts a Chaos Warp on Max's last angel token. This has Max shuffling it in, and spins into a Burnished Heart, which sadly won't save him from a lethal attack that's coming his way. After Felix connects with the Ancient Dragon, he gets to roll a d20, and puts 3 +1/+1 counters onto the dragon and the shaman. After that, he passes to me. I draw and play Sulphur Falls, just really nailing this comeback, and pass turn. Miirym sacrifices a soldier token on her upkeep to the Cultist trigger, and then plays a Welcoming Vampire, triggering Cathar's Crusade, and giving her team another +1/+1 counter. She then moves a Skullclamp over onto Lulu, and moving to combat, swings everything at Felix, and between the tokens and the Battlecry, completely takes him out of the equation. After that, she moves to her end step, and gets a Lulu trigger, untapping her board and giving another +1/+1 counter to her team, and passes. I draw, but with no answer in sight, I scoop it up to Miirym. Game review time! So, I'm sure this doesn't come as a surprise to many of you, but Cathar's Crusade and token generation is very good. It really helped Miirym establish her board state after that board wipe, and I think Lulu's ability of being able to untap after swinging was really interesting and fun. I like the pairing of Lulu and the Cultist together since it gives you a Sacolet that Lulu needs. Felix's Miirym deck was terrifying, and getting 2 Klaus and being able to get 2 triggers from attacking with them was insane. That turn he popped off, I thought for sure he had the game in the bag, but thankfully, Dragon Tempest was so far away, as you saw. Osgir is one of those commanders who I often think about replacing Daretti with. It does exactly what Daretti wants to do, which is reanimating artifacts from my graveyard, not to mention doubling them. Plus it gives me a Sacolet, and it can pump my commander to get in for lethal damage, something Daretti can't do. There's really no downside, but it's something I have to think about before I want to switch. Plus, despite the fact that I don't like having my lands all blown up, Soul Scour is actually a pretty decent win con in the deck. Ramos just did not fire in this game. I finally got to cast Volo, but again didn't follow up with any creatures to be able to manipulate him, and I seem to have a lot of tap lands come into play early on. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.